All right, welcome back. I hope you all had a great week. Today we're continuing our BCBA exam practice question series where we're going through 10 BCBA exam questions and breaking them down, how you should think about them on your actual exam. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. We are happy to have you. Please like and subscribe. If you're looking for our proven study materials, please check out BCBAstudy.com. We have a full-length 5th edition task list study guide, 2 practice exams, and our combo pack, which comes with everything, all the study guides, all the practice exams, everything in one pack. If you buy the practice exams or the combo pack, you get all future practice exams for free. So jump on that now. It's a great deal. Any questions or comments, please let me know. Other than that, work hard, study hard. Let's get into the questions. Question 1. A behavior that persists because it gains attention from parents and peers is said to be what? Behavior continues for different reasons. Some behavior is genetic. Some behavior is cultural. It's passed down from generation to generation. Some behavior is ontogenic, meaning it's based on learning history. A behavior that persists because it gains attention from parents and peers, why is that continuing? Is that behavior genetic? Is it cultural? Or is it ontogenic? It's not going to be D, respondent. Respondent is our 2-term contingency, which is just a stimulus and a response. This behavior is persisting because of a consequence. So it's a 3-term contingency behavior. So it's either going to be A, B, or C. Well, A, phylogenetic, like we said, is genetic. This behavior is persisting because it gained attention from parents and peers, not from some genetic factor. So we can eliminate A. B, ontogenic, is learning history. It's based on learning history. This is our operant conditioning, right? What's happening in our scenario? Attention is being given to a behavior. That behavior is continuing because of the attention gained from parents and peers. We can say that behavior is persisting because of ontogenic factors. B looks like our answer. What about C, cultural? Is this behavior passed down from generation to generation? Potentially, right? But if we're looking in a silo, right, we're looking at this one behavior for this one individual. It's gaining attention, right? It's operant. It's based on consequences. Therefore, it's going to be learning history. It's going to be B, ontogenic. Blank describes a functional relation between the independent variable and the dependent variable. So if we look at our answer choices, we have our goals, right? Our goals of science. We want to achieve description. We want to achieve prediction. We want to see or achieve control. We also have empiricism, okay, which is one of our attitudes where we are basing everything on seeing it and objective observation, okay? So which one are we picking, right? This is asking what is the functional relation between the independent variable and the dependent variable? Well, empiricism doesn't necessarily describe a functional relation, okay? Empiricism is more just observation, right? Things are based on data. It's not based on thoughts and feelings, but we're not describing functional relations when we talk about empiricism. We're talking about objective observation. So we can eliminate D. That leaves us with description, prediction, and control. What is description? Description is simply describing the behavior. It's facts about the behavior that we can observe. Doesn't mean there's a functional relation between the IV and the DV. It's just a behavior, right? What does it look like? You know, when does it happen? You know, what's the magnitude, et cetera, et cetera. We're not actually describing any sort of relation. So we can eliminate A. B, prediction, okay, is repeated observations, right, that show 2 events that correlate with each other. Meaning we have correlation, potentially, okay, potentially there's a functional relation, but we haven't established one yet, right? We think that A causes B and C maintains B, right? A, B, C, we believe that is what's occurring. We are predicting that, okay? When we say we have control, it's our highest level of understanding, and we've actually demonstrated a functional relation between the IV and the DV. So if we were actually describing a functional relation that we've observed between the IV and the DV, we are said to have control. Little Cindy Lou lost her first tooth a few weeks ago. She put her tooth under her pillow and woke up to find $1 where the tooth was before. Her parents told her the tooth fairy took her tooth. Cindy told her parents to prove that the tooth fairy existed. Cindy is engaging in what? All right, so what happens? Cindy lost her tooth, put it on the pillow, gets $1. Parents say, tooth fairy is the reason. Cindy says, I don't think so. I don't trust that outcome. I want you to prove it to me. What is Cindy engaging in? Well, parsimony says the simplest answer is often correct, okay? But Cindy isn't choosing an answer. She's not engaging in any sort of observation, right? She's just saying, what you're telling me about the outcome, I don't believe, okay? So she's not exactly being parsimonious. She's just not trusting, okay, the outcome. B, pragmatism. What is pragmatism? Well, now we're analyzing outcomes and procedures, okay? We're actually looking at different outcomes and procedures based on results, okay? But were our results useful? Okay, were the outcomes meaningful? Can we evaluate based on the outcomes? Again, Cindy's not necessarily evaluating the results, right? She's not saying, well, this was meaningful, this wasn't. She's just saying, I don't think how you're describing the outcome is truthful. Okay, I don't trust the results. So I need more information. I need to do something different. Therefore, she's engaging in philosophical doubt, right? We're questioning everything. We're questioning outcomes. We're questioning results, all right? Philosophical doubt leads to empiricism, right? It leads to observation. It leads to pragmatism, where we're analyzing outcome, meaningful outcomes. It leads to parsimony, where we're taking the simplest explanation. Philosophical doubt, we're simply saying, okay, I hear your reasoning, I hear your outcome, I just need to see more, I need to replicate it, or I need to do it on my own. Her parents are telling her the tooth fairy is the reason she has that dollar bill. Cindy says, I don't think so. You need to prove that to me. I don't believe this long-standing theory of the proof of the tooth fairy. I need more proof. Cindy is engaging in philosophical doubt. Be very careful, okay, with the attitudes, with parsimonies and the empiricisms and philosophical doubts, okay? The questions start to look very similar at times. Understand exactly what you're doing, okay? Parsimony, right? We are taking the simplest explanation, okay? In this case, there is no explanation from Cindy. She's just doubting. Empiricism and pragmatism, okay, have to do with observation and analyzing things. We're not really analyzing or observing anything here. We're just doubting, all right? Go through that process as you're studying, right? So when you get to the exam, it becomes a lot more natural. Regina is sorting out picture cards one day in preparation for DTT with her client. She is putting all the red vegetables and fruits together, the green vegetables and fruits together, and the yellow vegetables and fruits together. Each pile of fruit represents a what? All right, so clearly we have a bunch of stimuli being grouped together. And when we have a group of stimuli with common features, what do we consider that? Consider it a stimulus class, right? So we can eliminate D, a response class, okay? Response class, responses that all serve the same function. We're not examining responses here. We're looking at our stimuli. So C is putting together the stimuli based on what? Are these formal stimulus classes? Are they functional, or are they temporal? Well, we know formal is based on topography and looks. Functional is the evocative nature of it, okay? The effect it has on responses. And then temporal is the antecedents and consequences. When do the stimuli occur in relation to the behavior, okay? Well, clearly this is going to be what? It's going to be formal, right? She's put them together based on color, not the functional relation, right? Not how they affect the responses, not where they occur in relation to the responses, just simply the topography and how they look based on color. So each pile of fruit represents a formal stimulus class. Pretty easy question. Which of the following is not considered a reflex? All right, so this is a respondent question, okay, respondent behavior. You know, they don't typically ask too many questions about, you know, conditioned stimuli, things like that. We're really focused on operant behavior, okay, and responses, but it's important you know this so you can have a distinction between things that are reflexive and more responsive, okay? Remember, what are our reflexes? Reflexes happen as a result of a stimulus, okay? There's an antecedent and a reflex. Reflexes are things like sneezing and sweating, okay? Reacting to cold and heat, things you can't control, right? Things that are inherent. If you get burnt, you're going to pull your hand away, okay? If you see a bright light, you're going to shut your eyes, okay? Those are reflexes. This question wants to know, what is not considered a reflex? A, after waking up around 11 a.m., John opens the curtain and squints his eyes when he sees the sun. This is a reflex. We just talked about this, right? This bright light from the sun, you squint your eyes. It's a reflex, okay? That's not maintained by any consequence. You're just reacting to the stimuli, okay? And that's the key. Remember, when we say elicit, we're talking about reflexive. When we say evoke, we're talking about responses and operant, okay? Remember those words, okay? Remember the distinction between those words. B, you are taking a calculus exam. The exam is worth 50% of your grade. If you don't pass the exam, you fail the class. You are sweating profusely. Sweating is a reflex, okay? It's responding to some stimuli in the environment, maybe even internal stimuli. Sweating is a reflex. Gordon takes a hot pan out of the oven and forgets to use an oven mitt. He drops the pan on the floor. Gordon is responding to the heat, okay? This is not consequence-based. It's if you touch something hot, no matter your learning history whatsoever, you're going to pull away from that heat, okay? So Gordon takes a hot pan out of the oven, forgets to use an oven mitt. He drops the pan on the floor. Gordon reacting is a reflex. So D, Charlie sees the school bully coming his way, so he hides inside his math classroom. Charlie identifying this bully is based on what? It's got to be based on a learning history. Charlie wasn't born knowing that this individual was the bully. Okay, this escape maintained behavior is maintained by consequences. And that's the key, right? Consequences maintain our responses because we have that three-term ABC contingency, that SRS. Reflexes are just SR. They're not maintained by consequences. It's just a stimuli. So squinting, sweating, reacting to heat, okay, are all reflexive. Charlie reacting in an escape maintained behavior to a bully is going to be more responsive and operant. So what is not considered a reflex? D, Charlie sees the school bully, so he hides inside his math classroom. Behavior that is observable by the person engaging in the behavior and others around that person is called what? So clearly these are public events. Public events are what we focus on in ABA. We can observe those events. We can measure those events. Is all operant behavior observable? No, right? We have private events. We consider private events operant, but they're not all observable. So we can eliminate D. Are all respondent behaviors observable? No, respondent behaviors are reflexes, okay? So some of those are internal. We can't always observe those either. So are public events, are observable events overt or covert? Well, they're going to be considered overt behavior, okay? Covert behavior are private events, unobservable except for the person engaging in the behavior. Overt are events observed by everyone. Anyone can see them. Anyone can see them occur. 2 months ago, Asher was engaging in severe self-injury, which looked like scratching his nails across the skin to the point of bleeding. A behavior plan was put in place that utilized extinction as well as punishment. The intervention was successful and the self-injury stopped. Yesterday, Asher scratched his arm several times to the point of bleeding. What is the most parsimonious explanation for this? What is parsimony? Parsimony is the simplest explanation. So now we are actually providing an explanation. Remember our earlier question about Cindy Lou, who had doubt. Now we're actually giving an explanation. We're giving the simplest explanation for Asher suddenly starting to scratch his arm again. As a behavior analyst, you're going to be dealing with these situations a lot. Well, you need to explain to parents why things are occurring. When we explain why things are occurring, we use operant language, behavior-based language. We avoid mentalisms. So in this case, we're going to use one of our behavioral terms as our parsimonious explanation. Are we going to say extinction failed? Well, no, we know the intervention was successful, so extinction was also successful, so we can eliminate A. Are we going to say spontaneous recovery? Yeah, that's a pretty parsimonious explanation, right? Spontaneous recovery, the sudden reemergence of a previously extinct behavior. This is what happened here. Okay, that would be a great explanation. B looks like a good answer. Let's keep reading. Do we have a better answer? C, resistance to extinction. Again, nobody resisted extinction. Extinction was effective, right? The intervention was successful. Resistance to punishment. Again, intervention was successful. We know extinction and punishment were part of that intervention. Therefore, they were successful. So the most parsimonious explanation for the sudden reemergence of this behavior is going to be spontaneous recovery. Your friend, a pediatrician, asks you, a behavior analyst, to assist her with some autism assessments. You won't be diagnosing, but you'll be observing to provide a second opinion. What should be your number one priority when working with your friend? Okay, so this question, while you're reviewing it, your mind might go in different directions, right? You're probably thinking, okay, am I within my scope? Is this a dual relationship? Okay, whose interest am I promoting? All good thoughts, right? So on these vague questions, okay, try to start thinking of what you're looking for in the answer choices, even if you can't quite determine yet, okay, at least get an idea, right? At least get an idea of what you're looking for. So we kind of know what we're looking for. What should be our number one priority when working with your friend? A, ensuring you represent yourself well as a behavior analyst. Sure, that's a important thing, right? We always should represent ourselves well as a behavior analyst, no matter what we're doing. So yeah, absolutely. Now, is this our number one priority? Well, based on what we've read so far, yes, it's our only answer choice. It's our best answer so far. But is there a better answer? B, ensuring you represent your friend well to her clients. Well, it's going to be more important that you represent yourself well as a behavior analyst based on our ethical code. So A is still better than B. Let's keep reading. Always read all of your answer choices. Do we have a better answer? C, ensure you act in the best interest of the clients you see. Absolutely. This is our number one priority. This trumps even this, representing yourself as a behavior analyst, okay? Ensuring you act in the best interest of the client when consulting with a third party, straight from the ethical code, is the most important thing, okay? Above all else, act in the best interest of your client. So C looks like our best answer. What about D? Ensure you act in the best interest of the stakeholders. Okay, not necessarily. The interests of the clients are going to be more important than the stakeholders. So what should be your number one priority? It's going to be C. Ensure you act in the best interest of all the clients you see. Members of your team are complaining to you, a behavior analyst, that they feel unsafe in the home environment due to several factors. You evaluate the environment yourself and agree with your team. What is your next step? Okay, so you're not always going to be able to choose the environment you work in. You might be encountered by, you might encounter some very severe behavior. Okay, what do you do in that case? Remember, RBTs are the ones out there day in and day out having to handle these things. If they feel unsafe, that's an issue. Okay, so what can we do if our RBTs feel unsafe? What do? Do we begin discharging the client? Well, you just conducted an environmental or an ecological assessment. Okay, are there things you can try before just abandon or discharging the client? Okay, yeah, I mean, we can do other things first. We don't need to jump automatically to discharging the client. Okay, so A is a little too strong. B, consult with the stakeholder and attempt to alter the environment. Absolutely, give your client and their stakeholders a chance to alter whatever it is in the environment that's the factor. Now, if the client's behavior and your RBTs are at risk, then again, that's also reason sometimes to terminate services and refer out, okay? But before you do any of that, before we discharge or terminate services, we need to at least try to fix the environment. Now, if we can't, if we give our best shot, we can't, then we can work on terminating, okay? So C, terminate services immediately. No, we never abandon clients. Okay, so even if we were discharging the client, it wouldn't happen immediately. We would go through the process of discharging that client, helping them find other services, etc. And then D, continue providing services to the best of you and your team's ability. As admirable as that is, okay, in our ethical code, it does give us permission to evaluate the environment and make a judgment call based on that environment. And if we consult with the stakeholder and attempt to alter the environment, we are then allowed to take that next step of potentially discharging the client. But the first things first, consult with the stakeholder, attempt to change whatever it is preventing you from giving good service and making your team feel unsafe. Riley works at an accounting firm. Her boss wants to learn more about email response rates. He wants to figure out how long it takes for his employees to respond to emails they receive from clients. What type of measurement should he use? Simple, basic measurement question should be very straightforward for you. What are we measuring, right? We are measuring how long it takes for employees to respond to emails. On the BCBA exam, when they give you behavior measurement questions, it's very important that you identify what you're measuring, what you're looking at, okay? We want to know how long it takes for employees to respond to emails once they receive them from clients, okay? So what are we looking at? Are we looking at IRT? Are we looking at inter-response time? Or are we looking at time in between responses? Well, no, we don't care how long in between responses our employees go. We're worried about how quickly they respond, okay? So we can eliminate IRT. Are we worried about rate? Are we worried about how many responses they're making per hour? Again, no, we just want them to respond quickly. We're not worried about them responding to 100 emails an hour. We want that one email to be responded to promptly, so we can eliminate rate. What about duration? Are we tracking how long it takes them to type out that email? No, okay. Again, we're looking at how long it takes from receiving the email to response. So from SD to response, when we measure the time in between the SD and the response, we are measuring latency. All right, I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe if you did. I will be back next Friday and Saturday with more videos. Any questions or comments, please let me know. Check out BCBA Study for all, BCBAstudy.com for all our materials. Anything else, let me know. Keep working hard, keep studying hard. See you soon.